Hi, I'm Alex Wiedinghoff with Trekkit TV, and right now I'm standing in front of the Dome Cathedral. I'm in Köln, Germany, also known as Cologne, and today I'm going to tell you all about my travels through Germany in October. This past summer, I got an offer from some relatives in Germany to visit them for a bit in the fall. I decided to stay with them for 2 weeks in Germany, then go backpacking with a friend for the final 2 weeks of my trip. I was very excited to go traveling and see the country my dad's side of the family is from. I had been to Germany once before, but not on my own. I spent a few weeks researching the best deals for flights to Europe, and after many hours in a plane, I arrived in Frankfurt. My father's cousin Britta picked me up and drove me to her family's house in a quiet village near the small town of Bad Berleburg. This village, located in a small valley, was full of houses with quaint German architecture, cow farms, and surrounded by forests. The air was very fresh, it was quite peaceful. Unfortunately, I developed tonsillitis after a few days there, so I was limited in the types of activities I could do. That didn't stop me from attending my first opera in Frankfurt with my relatives, and going to a museum about the separation of East and West Germany, of which some of my relatives had grown up with as a big part of their lives. The museum depicted lots of photos and information on the Berlin Wall, and the inequality between the East and West until the wall was torn down in 1989. My cousin Lennart and I decided to take the train for a day trip to Köln, which was about 2 hours away. The Germans, and Europe in general, have train transportation down to a science. The central train station in Köln is located right beside the giant cathedral known as the Dome. We got to explore the beautiful and old architecture of this Gothic cathedral for free. Construction on the dome first started in 1248, and it is now one of Germany's most visited landmarks. It is the largest Gothic church in Northern Europe, and, according to its official website, it attracts thousands of visitors every day. This place of worship has quite the history. While it was under construction, its west side was used to hold services, and its east side was being decorated with artwork and grand furnishings. In 1794, the troops of the French Revolution came to Köln. The cathedral was then used as a warehouse because the archbishop and clergy fled. During this time, it was no longer considered a church due to the other non-religious uses, but it was consecrated again in 1801. After the dome, Lennart and I visited the Lindt Chocolate Factory for a tour. As a chocolate lover, I greatly enjoyed this. Their factory looked like it had been partly modeled after Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, with a section of forest to show where cocoa beans come from, and machines everywhere with chocolate flowing through. They had lots of information on the history of the cocoa bean and the creation of chocolate, as well as artwork on display made from chocolate. I was in heaven. Records show that the Mayans viewed the cocoa bean as a gift from the feathered serpent god. They used cocoa during sacred rituals. The Aztecs also held cocoa in high esteem, using it as a sacrificial offering and as a form of currency. Cocoa made its way over to Europe after the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés brought it back in 1528. Sugar and honey were added to make a chocolate drink reserved for nobility. Throughout the years, chocolate was used for art, aphrodisiac, and even medicine, creating a history of 3,500 years to the chocolate we know and love today. After the tour, I got to drink some chocolate beer while watching a film crew prepare for a boat scene in a canal. Lennart and I then had lunch at a small shop. I had one of my favorite meals, chocolate and banana crepes. I also had some amazing European ice cream. During the rest of my trip, I made a point to try the ice cream in every country I visited. It tasted much higher quality than back in Canada. In Köln, I bought a scarf that ended up being very useful for the trip. Not only did it keep me warm, but it was big enough that I could use it as a pillow on planes and trains, and wrap it around my head to block out light and sound when I needed to rest. If you're traveling during colder times, I recommend that you bring one along. After that day trip, I did my 2 weeks of backpacking to other countries. When I got back to Germany, Leonard and I decided to go back to Cologne for a tour of WDR, the big TV and radio news corporation of Germany. This time we also stayed in a hostel overnight and got to explore Carnival. I had some delicious German beer and my all-time favorite food, ribs, fresh off the grill. Leonard tried out some rides, but after eating, I wasn't up for it. We had time the next day to just explore the city and soak up some culture. There were so many new sights, sounds, and smells to experience. We came across a bridge with thousands of locks attached to it. It's a tradition that people will attach a lock and then throw the key into the river, usually for couples to symbolize their eternal love. Overall, I had an amazing experience in Germany, soaking up culture, learning about history, and meeting up with my family. If you ever get the chance to visit Germany, I highly recommend that you do, or any other European country, because the culture is so much different than Canada, and it really gives you a lot more perspective about the world around you. For Trekkit TV, I'm Alex Wiedinghoff. Auf Wiedersehen.